Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump, and today we'll be talking about the common mistakes that DPS players make. Now, just before we get started, I'd like to draw your attention to the Razer giveaway that we started last week. There's only a few days left to enter, and if you'd like a chance to get your hands on this collection of great swag, there's a link in the description. Follow that and follow the instructions on how to enter, and good luck to you should you choose to do that. Now, just like our support mistakes video that was very popular despite no healers being at fault for anything ever, this video will be a gentle look at some of the things damage players can improve on. First off, I'm just going to qualify this a little. The damage roll is an easy target for criticism. It's a two-way street. When playing DPS, it can feel like if you're not 1v6ing the enemy team and winning, your teammates will criticize you, and on the flip side, it can often feel like if the game is not going well, it might be because your Hanzo teammate isn't suited to the 15 flanker setup your opponents are running. It's hard to know a lot of the time what exactly is quote-unquote the problem in a match that isn't going well, but that said, obviously there's room for improvement in most people's games, leaving your healer behind. Right, this one is something that a lot of support players will attest to. Most DPS have some sort of movement mechanics to get where they need to be within a reasonable amount of time, as well as often avoid damage at whim. Anna, on the other hand, has a walking frame. She's an elderly grandma after all. This is actually a small part of a much larger picture. If you're playing a flanker hero like Tracer or Genji, you actually need to be applying pressure on your enemy's backline, and you'll therefore probably be a fair distance from your own supports. However, that doesn't mean you can just ignore them all the time to fend for themselves. Sometimes Grandma wants you to hold her hand, and you should. Knowing when to peel back to aid your supports is a vital part of the damage roll, and to be fair, this is quite often a hard decision to make. One of the big win conditions for any team fight can come down to this. If your enemies have healing and you don't, it can be game over. As the closest thing to a carry roll in Overwatch, damage players have the capacity for the most impact in both scenarios, eliminating your opponent's supports and protecting your own. Whichever team manages that balancing act better tends to win. But make no mistake, it is their responsibility to heal you for sure, but it's also part of your responsibility to help keep them alive. This actually ties in with our next mistake on this list: poor target priority. Now this is very common actually, especially at lower levels. What you choose to apply your damage to in any fight can have a massive impact on the result, and it's variable. It's not as simple as Genji just kill their Mercy and win. Sometimes the win condition of a fight is absolutely to kill the Mercy who keeps getting res value. In others it's to remove their carry threats from the board first, as what's left is just healing and tanks, which if your team still has their biggest threats up, namely you should be able to clear up. Now too often damage players get wrapped up in duels that go on for too long, or ones that wouldn't have a massive effect anyway. If you're fighting that Roadhog for 10 minutes while their Pharah kills your Anna, who then can't heal your Rein so he dies as well, guess what? You've lost the team fight. Not every kill is worth the same. Sometimes damage players get stuck going for big easy targets. I've done it, we've all done it. But actually those much harder, riskier duels against your opponent's damage are what might decide a fight, or if you take out their heals without trading unfavorably. Knowing what to shoot and when isn't as straightforward as people think it is, and some common rules of thumb can lead you down a disastrous path. Take the "we've got a pick, let's go in" idea. Say your Widow has picked off Sim in the poke battle, time to go in, right? Well, their real threats may still kill you. For instance, if their soldier has the high ground uncontested and you run forward expecting one pick off on a low impact hero to give you a free fight, you'll be unpleasantly surprised. Mechanical skill isn't the only thing that separates good DPS from average ones. Sound decision making about what to actually attack is arguably equally as important. Picking the wrong tool for the job. This old conundrum. I won't get into the conversation about one tricks or the fact that in some ways matchmaking actually encourages people to get good with just one hero. Sometimes people just pick exactly the wrong hero for the job. Don't lose at the select screen. Taking Junkrat against a pharmacy and die, for example, isn't a fantastic idea, and yet people will sometimes do this. They've taken a hammer when what they really needed was a scalpel. Also, for example, having most of your comp pick a dive setup and you pick McCree may not be the best pick ever. Now, because the impact you can have in the damage roll is largely limited by your mechanics, if you're really sick, of course you could make McCree work in a comp he doesn't synergize with, but it's less likely. You're just not as well equipped to fight with your team than if you'd pick Tracer or Genji. Even Widow, if played correctly in a dive/3 DPS comp, can work better. If you have a Winston, Tracer and a Genji creating all this space for you, Widow can just sit back and shoot heads. This sounds really obvious at face value, but picking the right damage hero in the right situations will win you more games. A lot of players still make this simple mistake: being recklessly eager. So we've covered over-peaking before, but in this context it seems to be a symptom of having all that destructive potential in your hands. Having your DPS die either super early or super late can spell disaster for your team. If your overpowered 76 is too aggro, peeking beyond his tank's shielding too often and gets picked in the poke battle or just as the real fight starts, that's really bad. Just as bad is when a Genji keeps facing after a fight is lost and you're regrouping, feeling confident in his movement and reflect to keep him up, and alt rip, he dies just as your teammates come out of spawn. We call this facing. Hey Genji, stop facing and taking damage, we're regrouping. Look, I get it. It does feel amazing knowing you have your ult and you're gonna go in there and wreck fools, but if you get yourself killed doing this, well, we just have to wait for you again. Meanwhile, your opponents are building ults the whole time. On defense, you don't even get that luxury. If your soldier dies immediately on Numbani first point, overstaying his welcome for trash damage from top left and gets dove and gobbled up, that can be just rip hero play and wasting ultimate value. So what do I mean by hero play? Well, it might surprise you of what's actually required of you as a damaged player. What you need to do is kill the right targets at the right time and in the right order. The difficulty comes in that what those targets are changes dynamically, so adjusting to it can be really challenging. What some players do instead of learning to read the game as it plays out is they simply try to attack everything all the time. Now I'll be fair as well, a lot of damaged players know what it's like to have your team oversimplify things and just complain at you that nothing is dying. What is Tracer supposed to do? Get behind the enemy, kill everything with the lowest health in the game while everyone else sits on cart? No, but that's what some people think damaged players should do, just simply kill everything. It's a blade that cuts both ways, eh Genji? Another factor is in ultimate usage. DPS ults are the most lethal in the game, but sometimes players forget they're attached to the squishiest heroes as well. It's easy to remember that for Pharah or McCree, but really, Genji sword or soldier sights can still be countered by fast focus fire before they frag out, especially if some of the DPS support structure has died. It can be easy to forget how squishy your soldier's face is, even with a fancy visor attached. And all the Shimada magic in the world sometimes can get smacked down by a few easy swings of Rein's hammer. Let us know in the comments if you can think of more common DPS mistakes that I didn't mention. There's bound to be some. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you never want to miss one of our videos again, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in good company. Please check out our Discord, where you can join one of the biggest Discord communities for Overwatch out there. And finally, please check out our Twitter, it's where you can find updates about new videos and streams. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time.